everyone, today I'm doing some tiny Easter eggs slash bonbons. I think it's the second time I'm tempering chocolate at home, so I'll be sharing everything I did right and wrong, and also some tips on what I would do differently if I were to make this again. So let's get started. First, we have this huge block of chocolate. Make sure you use a damp cloth under the cutting board so it doesn't move while you're cutting. I'm going to be chopping half of it, which is half a kilogram or around 1 pound. The chocolate I'm using is semi-sweet dark chocolate with 60% cocoa. After struggling for a while, I managed to chop the chocolate in small pieces. I separated 1/3 of it and melted the bigger amount on the microwave. It should reach 45 degrees Celsius or 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I started adding the chocolate chips I left aside, mixed them in, and checked the temperature again. I repeated this process until my chocolate was at 32 degrees Celsius or 89 degrees Fahrenheit. The chocolate is now ready to use. It should stay between 29 and 32 degrees Celsius or 84 and 89 degrees Fahrenheit. If it leaves that range, you need to start the whole process again. This tempering method is called sealing. I'll leave more information about chocolate and why it should be tempered in the description box in case you're interested. The temperatures used vary between types of chocolate. I'll put the exact numbers on the screen and in the description box. Once the chocolate was tempered, I put it in a piping bag and poured it over the silicone mold. I recommend that you sieve the chocolate first because, as you can see, I have some chocolate that didn't melt, creating lumps. Tap it a bit against the table so it settles in all the lines and different things. I actually kinda forgot to do this. I left the chocolate for 2 to 3 minutes and then flipped the mold. You can also flip it immediately after pouring, but you may have to do a second layer after. Then I let the chocolate dry for at least 45 minutes. The first time I left it for around 2 hours to be sure, but in other batches I took them out at 45 minutes and they were fine. But if you can leave them more time, it is recommended. For fillings, I have Nutella and dulce de leche, which I put in a piping bag. I also melted some chocolate and put it in a plastic bag. Then I just filled each half and then stuck them together with the melted chocolate. After I finished with this trial run, I went and made a bunch more. But first I wanted to show you the difference between the chocolate that I tempered correctly and one batch that I messed up. You can see the colors are completely different and they break differently too. The eggs that I tried to make with the chocolate temper wrong were too thin and broke when I took them out of the mold. This is what happens when there's a bit of water in the mold, so make sure you dry it completely before using. And this is what happens when you let it sit for too long before draining the chocolate. Just 1 minute makes a huge difference. I kinda messed up here cause the eggs were too close together and kept bumping into each other, making the dulce de leche go kinda everywhere. So make sure you space them out a bit more, and also maybe do smaller batches. The Nutella was much harder to pipe out, so yeah, it was quite a mess. At this point I was really struggling, and while trying to piece them together, the heat from my hands started melting the chocolate. So I stopped and put them in the fridge to cool down first, and then it was a bit easier. And here's the finished result. Definitely a bit rustic. They could have been a lot cleaner, but yeah, I think they came out nice. So here's a summary of tips for future me and for anyone that's watching that wants to make this recipe. First, make sure you use a damp cloth under the cutting board when you're chopping the chocolate for safety. Second, check the temperature of the chocolate closely so it doesn't leave the tempered range. To warm up the chocolate, you can use the microwave or a double boiler, and to cool it down, you can use more of the chopped chocolate. Third, I didn't mention this before, but always have a napkin or something to wipe the thermometer, because things can get messy really fast. You can also put some plastic wrap around the thermometer in case it falls in the chocolate accidentally. Fourth, run the chocolate through a sifter before using so there are no chocolate chunks. Fifth, if you can, leave the mold drying upside down and elevate it so the chocolate can keep falling instead of settling to the bottom. I couldn't do this because my mold was made of silicone and it just didn't want to stay put. Sixth. Number 6, dry your mold completely before using. Number 7, don't leave the chocolate too long in the mold before draining it. Number 8, after draining, leave the chocolate drying in the mold for as long as you can for better results. Number 9, when filling, work in small batches and separate them one from the other. And that's it. I arranged the Easter eggs in little bags and gave them away to friends and family. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new. See you next time. Bye!